So is there anything, Ashley, in your mind that, that this different role for the foundation leader has enabled for Nat to do, for the foundation to become, that you think wouldn't have been possible if you'd been thinking a little bit more traditionally?
Yeah, I mean, again, I mentioned we saw pretty early on the benefits of collaboration. So in a few ways, I think early on we participated in a funder collaborative that was around living wage campaigns through the Tides Foundation. And our grant was pretty small. And overall, this collaborative effort wasn't huge, but it was happening at a time when there was a fair amount of traction on living wage campaigns. And so we saw that our contribution to the collaborative and the collaborative's contribution to the movement was actually having an impact. So I think that was really exciting. So it was an early introduction to collaboration. And similarly with some early experiences where we had large national funders pick up the phone and call, either the program officers we've been working with at Tides or call Nat and say, what do you guys think? And then leverage dollars to support youth organizing or a particular grantee was super exciting for us. So I think our early ideas around this were pretty narrowly about leveraging additional resources, but they made us as a board recognize the value of those networks and relationships that are established. So when we were thinking about our staff and what we envisioned them doing, it was never going to be on the grant docket treadmill. It was, we wanted them out and about in the community, building those relationships. And to be clear, we pay for that, right? Like we value it, and it is reflected in our budget. So if you look at our budget, our staff to grants ratio is relatively high, and that's intentional because we want our staff writing op-eds and serving on affinity group boards and being part of the field, contributing to the field, learning from the field. And when they break their staff time in our budget, it's reflected in grant making, administration, and then what we call leverage, but it's all the other programmatic work they do in support of our mission. The second thing that I would mention is that this transition that I mentioned when we became much more focused and strategic also was brought about by a change in our governance. So we went from this single controlling trustee model where we had a series of trustees at the helm to a much more collaborative governance structure. So when the third generation said, let's make this be something radically different, that also extended to how we work together as a board. So at the time I was 26, I became the board chair. We felt like for funding youth organizing, we should walk the talk. But we are truly an organization where I think, and Nat, correct me if I'm wrong, there's no one voice on the board that's louder than any other. And I don't know if we would be able to operate in the collaborative way we operate internally and externally if we didn't live that at the board level. And I think to the extent, I can be honest about it, I think we do work very collaboratively with the staff. I mean, I think the staff feels relatively comfortable speaking up in meetings, and we all have a voice, and I think everybody feels pretty heard.
It's totally fascinating. I mean, just